Good afternoon, class. Um, can we have a little prayer before we start? Who would like to volunteer? Someone from this class? Even our Father or Glories? Yes, salutis. Thank you.
Let's put our hands together in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord of light and wisdom, we thank you for the opportunity to study. Help us to be more patient, attentive, and diligent to understand the lessons and make good use of them according to your will. We will ask this in the name of our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Salutis. As of the moment, we have 42 participants, but later I will check the attendance after this class. Before I begin, can you please settle yourself where you can hear me clearly and you can focus? Once that you were settled, please raise your virtual hand so I know that I could start. Okay, majority of you are ready. Let's begin with our lesson. Thank you. Okay. Can you see my screen sharing? Please raise your virtual hands. Okay. Our lesson for today involves literary reading in linguistic context. As far as I could remember, I have told you to review about the elements and devices of literature and figures of speech, then elements of poem. Okay. Can someone discuss or tell me about something about the theme? Your own definition of theme. Yes, Violanta.
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Yung theme po, it is the main idea or the topic of the literature.
Okay, thank you. Any other idea about theme? Okay, Arenas. Any other idea about themes? So theme is, for example, the fable. It's the learning that we can take away from the story, just like that. But Violanta's idea is also good. Who can differentiate mood and tone? Yes, Tongol. Thank you.
Good afternoon po,
Good
Miss.
afternoon also.
Ang tone po is ito po yung, it is how the author expresses his or her attitude towards the story. Tapos yung mood po is how the readers perceive the story.
Okay, thank you. Exactly. For the mood, it is the feeling that is given to the reader. For the tone, it is the author's feeling that has to be given to the reader. How about symbolism and imagery? Yes, Capio.
Good afternoon po, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Symbolism po, ito po yung ginagamit ng author wherein he uses an object to represent an idea while imagery naman po gumagamit ng sensory images like for the sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell.
Thank you, Capio. Very good. Okay, let's proceed with the figures of speech. Can someone enumerate the three figurative language that is commonly used in a poem? What are those three? Yes po, nung bayan.
Good afternoon po, ma'am. Yung
Yes.
ginagamit po mostly in poetry is alliteration, anaphora, and assonance.
Can you give me the definition?
Yung alliteration po, more on repeating yung sounds po. Halimbawa po, yung more on S sounds po yung inuulit sa isang line or sentence. Then
Or
anaphora naman,
the first
yes,
sound?
yes po. Then anaphora naman po is na-emphasize po yung words, like paulit-ulit po siyang ginagamit. Tapos yung assonance naman po, yung pag-uulit naman po ng vowel sounds.
Okay, thank you. Exactly. How about the four figurative language that show contrast? What are those four? Four figurative language that shows or gives us the sense of contrast, contrasting. For example, one of those is oxymoron. What are the other three? Anyone from this class? Yes, punong bayan again.
Yung bukod po sa oxymoron, yung tatlo pa po ay paradox, irony, and antithesis po.
Can I have from Rio Carissa the meaning of oxymoron, paradox, or differentiate the oxymoron, paradox, irony, and antithesis?
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Bale, yung oxymoron po, two words po siya together na nagko-contradict sa isa't isa. Yung antithesis naman po, two contradicting factual statements. Yung paradox naman po, contradicting phrases or clauses. Tapos yung irony po, parang gumagamit po siya ng language na normally signifies the opposite or sarcasm po.
Okay, thank you so much. How about the most common, simile and metaphor? What is their similarity and difference? Yes, Tongol.
Ang similarity po ng simile and metaphor is they both describe something po. Ang difference lang po is kung paano nila yung difference lang po is yung structure. Yung simile po, they describe with the use of as, like, etc. Tapos yung metaphor po, parang omitted po yung words na yun.
Okay, how about onomatopoeia? What is onomatopoeia? Yes, Alutis.
Hello po, Miss. Good afternoon po. So, yung onomatopoeia po, yun po yung words po that actually sounds, yung ano po, yung tunog po. Pero in words po, ang isa pong example nun, the sound of the clock is tick-tock, yung ganun po.
Okay, thank you. And hyperbole and personification. Who can still remember what is hyperbole and personification? Yes, again, Salutis.
So, yung hyperbole po yung exaggerated expressions po. Isa pong example nun, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Tapos po yung personification po, yung way po ng, yung pagbibigay po ng animation po sa objects po or living things po. Isa pong example nun na the bamboos are dancing or swaying po.
Okay, thank you. I know that you have your own idea of the figurative language, and there's a lot of them. Let's cut it out with this. Let's move on with the elements of a poem. Okay, first we have the structure. How can we define the structure? You have encountered it from the Tanaga. What are we going to count when we are looking for the structure? Someone from this class? What are we going to count? when we are looking for the structure or syllabic structure. Yes, Tongol.
575 po.
Okay. What have you counted by 575? The
Ah, syllables po.
yes, the syllable. So when we say 575, there are 5 syllables in the first line, 7 for the second line, 5 for the third line, and 7 for the fourth line. That is the 575. Or sorry, wala. We will omit the last one. But that will be the construction of 575. How about the rhyming scheme? Can you give me an example of a rhyming scheme? Through letters. An example of a rhyming scheme. Yes, Balmes.
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Example po ng rhyming scheme is AB, AB, or AA, BB. Wherein yung A po, sila po yung magkaparehas ng tunog, and yung B naman po, sila po yung pareho ng tunog.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we will proceed with the vocabulary words that we will encounter in this lesson. And this will be discussed or introduced to you through a game called Wiki Karambulan. Okay, let's phrase form words. Okay, the sound of these phrases will form word or words. Don't worry, the longest one will be 2 words. I have 5 here, 5 words for our vocabulary words. The first one to raise your hand will have the opportunity to answer. Okay. This week, Bulan is also played in Sunday Pinasaya. I know that you have the idea, you have your own idea of Wikarambulan. So just the sounds. The most important part here is the sound that will be formed by the phrase. Okay, the first one to raise your hand will have the opportunity to answer and will gain an additional point for the upcoming quiz or your previous quizzes. And then I am also encouraging those who have not get a perfect score to answer. Okay, for example, let's have an example here. Can you see my screen sharing? Raise your virtual hand. Yes, thank you. Okay, salutis, what is it?
Students po.
Okay, students. Thank you. But as it's just an example, ah. Okay, let's proceed with the game itself. The first word. Who can identify the first word? Yes, Tongol.
Structuralism po.
Okay, structuralism. This will be encountered in our lesson, a linguistic theory, which was first introduced by Ferdinand de Saussure and will be further discussed in our lesson. Next, we have yes, Butial.
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Lyrics 17. The word is lyric 7.
Lyric 17. It is a poem composed by Jose Garcia Villa and which gives the characteristics of a poem through metaphorical approaches. Sorry, I'm writing down your names. Okay, next. We have what word? Yes, Antolin.
Approaches po.
Approaches. Okay, for this lesson, approaches means action we do to deal with something. Okay, for our next word. Yes, Kuriba.
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Expression po.
Expression. Okay, for this lesson, this will mean the sound we make to identify something. Okay, the last word. Coronado.
Pos Structuralism po.
Okay. Pos Structuralism is also a linguistic theory, which will be further discussed later. It was post, so it means that it was introduced after the structuralism. Thank you so much for participating on our motivation. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay, let's proceed with this quotation from David Richer. According to him, practically everything we do that is specifically human is expressed in language. Can someone give her own opinion or thought about this quotation? Practically everything we do that is specifically human is expressed in language. Can I hear it from Bognot? What is your thought about the expression or quotation? Is Bognot speaking? Can't we hear her?
Good afternoon po. Rinig na po.
Okay, babe.
Okay. Sorry po, hindi po pala nagana yung ano. So, yung pagkakaintindi ko po sa quotation is that everything can be expressed in language po kasi it is important for us humans po to actually understand the language and have that ability to consider and understand po yung language in a way that we are able to make a decision or come up with an opinion based on the language that we had interpreted. Richard, ano po kasi, he further explained po na all things we do po, kunwari po sa music, we require po yung notes para po maintindihan natin. So, ibig sabihin language po siya. So, katulad din po ng sa language ng kapag po nagbabasa tayo, without the language po to express ourselves and without the ability to interpret and understand it, we will not progress po as a human and as a society.
Okay, thank you. Very nice. To support her answer, we do have 4 major skills, right? Reading, writing, speaking, listening, all of this, we have to use language to communicate. Just her example, it's right. That they have to do the sign of notes to understand the music. Okay. Once we are reading through linguistic context, we have to take note of the following. First, why is the text not following standard grammar or breaking the grammar rule? For example, from Justin Timberlake's song "What Goes Around Comes Around," there is the part of the lyrics where he says, "Whenever you cheated, my heart bleeded." Though though the correct term for bleeded, there's no such word bleeded, right? Is bled. But because he needs a good rhyming, he used bleeded. Actually, we can do it in literature. There is such acceptance of the breaking the grammatical rule. Next, what we have to consider is why is the text written in this language? Is this considered a weak language or a strong language? For example, the song Despacito. It is from other language, Spanish, am I right? But we can relate to this. Why? The sound is so sexy. It becomes more appealing. Lastly, we have to consult literary approaches that focus on language, which will be further discussed on our lesson. Okay, again, what we have to remember, breaking the grammatical rule. Next, the language used, is it strong or weak? And then consult literary approaches. Do you understand? Raise your virtual hand if you understand. Okay, thank you. Next, we have the literary approaches that focuses on language. There are 3 in this lesson, which includes structuralism, formalism, and post-structuralism. I will start with structuralism. Structuralism was first introduced by Ferdinand de Saussure, a Swiss linguist. So, a linguist studies linguistics or the study of language. For him, language or it's not just relating it to cultural or historical aspects. Language is more than that. It is when we have to study about the language, we have to look at the underlying structures. For him, language is a science where you have the signifier and signified. When we say signifier, as what we have mentioned earlier, the expression or the sound we make to identify something. Okay? It is the name that we give a thing. When we say signified, it is the concept or the meaning. And together, they form a sign. Okay? But for this assure, we have grown up with the logic that sound is always equal to a thing. For example, when we were teaching the children, like this, this is a ball pen. Okay? That sound should define something. When we say ball pen, you can clearly give it to your mind or picturize it into your mind. But when we say the deeper study of language or the structuralism, the sound should have a concept. How is that? For example, a bread. How can we say that we know the concept of a bread? When we know that we can relate it to other concept, for example, that it is a food that is made by baker, that is not different from a cake, or it is different from a cookie that is made out of flour. Okay? Next, we have formalism. For formalism, human language can be defined as a formal language like the language of mathematics and programming languages. As what you can see from the picture, this is a parse tree. Okay, S represents sentence. Now, the sentence will be divided into two parts. That is the noun phrase or NP and the verb phrase or VP. Now, the noun phrase will be divided into two parts, which is the determiner or the, and the noun, which is the chef. The verb phrase now will be divided into two parts, which is the verb cooks and then another noun phrase divided into two parts, which is the determiner the and the noun soup. If you are an English major, this will be very familiar to you. Okay, why do we have to consider this, the structure of the language or formalism? To easily understand a sentence or in a poem or in a literary text, for example, there is a modifier. We should know which does it modify. For example, the pretty girl walk quickly. Okay? Girl is being modified by pretty and walk is being modified by quickly. What if you were thinking that pretty is modifying walk? Then you will have different idea of the thought that the author must have given to you. We have formalism consider the text alone without into account the context or any outside factors, just like the structuralism. It does not have to contextualize the uh, cultural, historical, the biography of the author, the text itself, just the text itself. Okay, next is the post-structuralism. Okay, this post-structuralism somehow supports or being against to structuralism. It supports in the way that all for post-structuralism, all texts have multiple meanings. It was just extended its meaning that meaning does not rest in a word, meaning there is no perfect meaning for a thing. All of this meaning should be considered. Now that there are many concepts, this has been a chain, meaning all the meanings become infinite. How does it against the structuralism? It looks into the consequence of a linguistic world that structuralism creates for us. Now that the structuralism have given us that that a sound should be related into concept and different concept, there's a lot of concept, the language became critical or complicated. So there is the tension of misinterpretation. Once that we have all this idea, we have all this concept, we differ from each other. So here comes the misinterpretation. Okay. Did I make it clear? The three linguistic approaches, structuralism, um, formalism, and post-structuralism. Please raise your virtual hand. Can someone from this class again discuss the structuralism since you all understand it? Okay, the last one, Elasus. What have you understand from structuralism?
Ano po, ma'am?
What have you
Ulit po.
understand? What have you understand about structuralism?
Yung sa yung ano po, mama. Yung sound po ano po siya na nakaayos po. Yung isa po na bibigay po ng expression. Yung isa naman po yung na nilalagyan po ng expression. Sinisingipay po ng expression.
Okay. Or,
ng concept.
yes, there is the signifier, the signified to create a sign. Am I correct? Is that what you're saying? Okay, thank you.
Apo.
Any other takeaway from that lesson, Miss Balmes?
Informalism naman po, nagpo-focus siya sa parang sa text alone. Doon lang po siya nagpo-focus para maintindihan kung ano ba yung structure niya, yung mga minomodify, and without taking into consideration yung buong context po nung sentence. And with that, it is used to easily understand a sentence po.
Okay, thank you. How about Elip? What have you understand from what I have discussed? Or Celano? Someone from this class who can discuss post-structuralism? I thought you understand it all. Can I hear it again from Bognot?
Yung sa post-structuralism po, this is opposing po sa structuralism. Ito po ay may different interpretations naman po. So, it means po na pwede po magkaroon ng misinterpretation pag ito po yung ginagamit po.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bognot. I think I have discussed it where you can understand the three linguistic approach. Or now we will proceed with analyzing a poem. So why do we have to discuss these three? This structuralism, formalism, and post-structuralism. Because these three focuses on language, only in language. Okay? Once that we were going to analyze something, even if it does not have an author, the text itself can give its meaning to its reader by the language it's being used. Okay? So let's have Jose Garcia Villa, Lyrics 17. We will analyze this one. I will read it for you. First, the poem must be magical, then musical as a seagull. It must be a brightness moving, and hold secrets of birds flowering. It must be slender as a bell, and it must hold fire as well. It must have the wisdom of bows, and it must kneel like a rose. It must be able to hear the luminance of the dove and deer. It must be able to hide what it seeks like a bride. And over all, I would like to hover, God smiling from the poem's cover. Okay? I hope that you have read it as I instruct you before this lesson. Okay? Let's take a closer look on the poem. Let us look for the rhyming scheme for the first stanza or the first four lines. What is the rhyming scheme of the text? Let's look at the structure. Just like from formalism. What is the rhyming scheme of this? Yes, Capio.
Rhyming scheme po of the first stanza is AABB po.
Okay, thank you. Oh, for the second stanza, what is the structure or the rhyming scheme of the second stanza? Yes, Kuriba.
CC and DD po.
Okay, very good. Next, the third stanza, the four lines. Yes, Tongol.
EEFF po.
Okay. And for the last, and overall, I would like to hover God smiling from the poem's cover. It is what we call a rhyming couplet. Okay, remember that. A rhyming couplet from lines or stanzas that have four lines. Then the last one will be last two lines. That is a rhyming couplet. That is what we call rhyming couplet. Okay, what is the tone of the author? From the text, what is its tone? What do you think is the author's feeling while he was writing this poem? Okay, I will give you a clue. Passionate. How it becomes passionate in this sense. Read it again. It is passionate of how he have written and how he has expressed his feeling on this poem. Why do you think it is passionate? Someone from this class? Okay, I will be the one to answer this one. It is passionate in the sense that instead of giving another or the other authors a uh, step-by-step procedure of making a poem, he instead used this poem to let them know. Okay? Did you get it? Okay. What is the main figurative language being used? Have you noticed it? What is the main figurative language being used in this? Someone from this class? What is the main figurative language? Yes, Capio.
I think po metaphor and a little bit of simile po.
Yes, metaphor and simile. Thank you, Capio. Okay. Can you cite some example of the metaphor that you have found in this poem? And what do they mean for you? Tongol.
For me po is it must be a brightness moving. Parang naiintindihan ko po is parang your po must give light to the reader.
Exactly. Simple as that. What have other metaphor that you have find from this poem? Then just give your opinion or your thoughts about it. For example, as musical as a seagull. Can I hear it from Garbo? Okay. Butial.
Um, I think a poem must be magical because um, it means that a good poem must have um, it's good. It is good that a poem must have good words or fanciful words um, to be like magical.
Yes. Or to be magical is being life changing. It adds up some spice. Okay, thank you, Butial. Another metaphorical phrase that you have found, and what does it mean to you? It is like a structuralism. You have your concept of the words, right? You have your own concepts. So don't be shy to answer. All of your answers will be accepted because all of us has their own concept. Okay, for example, the part where there's wisdom of bows. Okay, we can consider that the bow must be the arrow, must be the bow of the arrow, right? Or the bowing, or we can say that it is the bow that the other one, the other bow that being tied on the neck. Because we have different conceptions, this is where post-structuralism will enter. Okay? We will just consider it so to not lead into misinterpretation when the idea will be connected to the thought that the author is conveying to its reader. As long as your concept of that thought will not be against or not related to the poem, then it is acceptable. Now, let's proceed to our activity. This time, you will be the one to analyze the poem written by Jose Rizal entitled Josephine through its linguistic context. So first, you will be given 5 minutes to answer this short quiz. But first, we have to read the poem. Okay, Josephine by Dr. Jose P. Rizal. Josephine, who to this shores came, searching for a home, a nest, like the wandering swallows. If your fate guides you to Shanghai, China, or Japan, forget not that on the shores a heart beats for you. Okay, I have sent the link of the Google form for this quiz. It is available in our general posted now. So please answer the quiz for 5 minutes. Okay, a copy of this poem will be also available in the form. Okay, please raise your hand if you were ready, and then I will start our timer, our 5 minutes timer. I just need your answers to be concise, to be precise, that even a one sentence, as long as the main idea is there, I will consider your answer. You don't have to put a long paragraph for that. As long as I can see that you can understand the poem, then we will consider your answer. Please raise your virtual hand if you are ready. If you have opened our quiz, so I know if I can start the timer. Are you all ready? Wait, I'm just checking. You're all ready? Our timer starts now. Last 2 minutes. Class, that's 1 minute. Last 15 seconds. Okay, if you are done, please raise your virtual hand. I will have to check it later after our class. If you have found that your score is 0, it was just because of the Google form. I could not include the perfect answer. So I will have to check it one by one. Okay, you are all done. Thank you. For your homework, wait. So for your homework, can you see my screen sharing? Sorry. Okay, for your homework, you have to read the lyrics of the song Pitong Gatang by Fred Panopio, or you may listen to the song if you want. Deadline of submission for this activity will be on July 4, 2021. This will serve as your third activity for fourth quarter. So you know how to do this. A reflection paper again. Sorry. Okay, what you're going to do is to find the symbolism, figurative language, structure, rhyming scheme, mood and tone, theme, and so forth of what you can see from this song used in this linguistic context and used as a linguistic context. So this set of notes will be your guide for your reflection. Again, for the first paragraph, or you have to present first the song. Then the next paragraph will include the symbolism or the figurative language, and then structure, rhyming scheme, per paragraph. Now, if you haven't find any of this from this song, then make a sentence that you haven't found, or that this song does not portray this figurative language, which is not, or symbolisms are not included in these songs. Okay, are we clear with that? Please raise your virtual hand if you agree. Okay, I will post it later on our Teams. Where you can pass your assignment. Okay, I have seen that all have understand our activity. So from our discussion as generalization, we have found that each one of us have their own definition in every expression. And that may lead to tightened communication or heightened misinterpretation. So how can we uh, move to more on tightening communication? Remember ako, or first, be attentive. When someone is talking, be attentive. When someone is sharing, be attentive. Next, be considerate. You know that you have your own concepts, they have their own concepts too, and be understanding. Okay, that's all for today, class. Hope that you have learned something. Yes, Batial, you have something to say?
Sorry po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. That's all for today, class. Thank you so much. Hope you have learned something. You learned something from today. Please raise your virtual hands. Thank you for your participation. See you on our next synchronous class.